Okay, so are you ready
For what?
to dive deep, like really deep,
Yeah.
into Socrates?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
Cool. Because this guy, this ancient Greek philosopher, his words, they still kind of hit home today. Big time.
He was definitely ahead of his time.
Yeah, and I think for this deep dive, what we've got is like 18 of his most famous quotes. Short, sharp,
Yeah.
and honestly, kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, you picked some good ones. I've got my favorites for sure.
Oh, I definitely have some favorites. We'll get to that. But I guess first, what are we trying to do here,
Yeah.
with these quotes?
For me at least, it's about figuring out why these sayings, these little snippets, why they've lasted so long.
Right. Centuries.
Centuries. Like, what is it about them that's resonated with people, down through history? And maybe, just maybe, we can figure out how they apply to us,
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
I like that. A little time travel with Socrates.
Sounds like a plan. All right, so let's jump right in. This one, I think it's got to be one of the most famous things Socrates ever said. It's definitely the one that, gets me thinking the most.
Oh, which one?
The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing.
Oh, yeah. That's a classic.
Yeah. And, have you ever thought about that one? Like, really thought about it?
Yeah, it's one of those quotes that always kind of messes with you a little bit.
It definitely messes with it.
Because, on the surface, it seems like a contradiction.
Right.
How can you be wise if you know nothing?
Exactly. That's what throws me off every time.
But if you think about it a little deeper, I think what he's getting at is this idea that if you think you know everything, you're not open to learning anything new.
Oh, I see.
So he's actually encouraging us, to be humble, to question our assumptions, and to be open to the possibility that we might be wrong.
Yeah, like admitting that we don't have all the answers.
Exactly. And honestly, in a world that's changing, so fast, all the time, that kind of open-mindedness, being willing to say, I don't know, I think that's more important than ever.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah, because the more you learn, right, the more you realize that there's even more that you don't know.
It's like the deeper you go, the bigger the mystery gets.
Exactly. And being okay with that, being okay with not knowing, I think that's the starting point for real wisdom.
Okay, so we need to be comfortable not knowing everything.
At least willing to admit it sometimes.
Got it. So that's kind of like the big picture,
Yeah.
like our attitude about knowledge. But Socrates, he was also super, super into this whole idea of knowing yourself, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. It wasn't just about, book smarts or knowing a bunch of facts.
Yeah.
He was all about this deeper understanding, who are you really? What are your values?
Right.
What's your purpose? It's like he was saying, look inwards.
Yeah.
Figure out who you are at your core.
I think he said that almost word for word, right?
Well, he did have a couple of pretty famous quotes about that.
Yeah, give us another one.
Okay, how about this? To know thyself is the beginning of wisdom.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
And he also had that other one, the one that everyone always quotes, the really intense one.
Uh-oh. What is it?
An unexamined life is not worth living.
Whoa.
Yeah. Pretty heavy stuff, right?
That's intense. So what do you think he meant by unexamined life?
Well, I think, for one thing, he's talking about, living your life without really thinking about who you are.
Oh, okay. Like sleepwalking through life.
Exactly. Going through the motions without really stopping to question your beliefs.
Right.
Your motivations, your values, just kind of blindly following whatever everyone else is doing.
Right. Like not actually engaging with your life.
Yeah. And I think even today, there's something so important about that message,
I think so too, especially now.
Because think about it. We're so busy all the time.
Right.
Constantly bombarded with information and distractions.
Oh, yeah. It's like 24/7, always on.
Exactly. And it's so easy to just get swept up in all of that and lose sight of who we are and what really matters.
Yeah, I definitely feel that sometimes. I'm just reacting to everything instead of, being in control.
Right. So taking the time to really know ourselves, to, examine our lives.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like a form of rebellion.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. It's like saying, hold on a second, world. I need a minute to figure myself out.
Right.
And in that space, in that moment of reflection, that's where we find our true selves.
Okay, I am definitely feeling inspired right now.
That's good, because Socrates was really all about inspiring people to think for themselves.
Yeah. Okay, so far we've got Like, be open to learning new things, even if it means admitting you don't know everything, and take the time to know yourself, figure out who you are and what you believe. What else did this guy think was important?
Well, there's a lot. But one thing that really stands out to me is his views on education.
Oh, yeah, he was a teacher, right?
Well, he wasn't a teacher in the traditional sense. He didn't have, like, a school or a formal classroom.
Right.
But he was definitely an educator in the sense that he wanted to help people think critically and question everything.
So he was all about sparking curiosity, helping people to really understand things for themselves.
Exactly. And he had this incredible metaphor for education that I just love.
Oh, lay it on us.
He said, ready for this, education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Right, isn't it? I mean, think about it. When you learn something new, when you really get it, it's not like someone's just pouring information into your brain.
Oh, yeah.
It's more like a spark that ignites this desire to learn more, to explore.
Oh, yeah. Like it awakens something inside you.
Right, and that's the essence of the Socratic method, you know?
The Socratic method.
Yeah. Asking questions, challenging assumptions, inspiring people to discover the truth for themselves.
Okay, so less about memorizing the right answers and more about learning how to think.
Exactly. And that's a skill. I mean, that's a skill that's valuable, like, no matter what you're doing in life.
Yeah, and it's especially important these days.
Right.
When we're just, like, bombarded with information from every direction.
Right, like all the time.
Yeah. We need to be able to sift through it all to, like, figure out what's true, what's not true, what's worth paying attention to.
And to form our own opinions.
Exactly. Okay, you know what? This is making me think about another one of his quotes. This one is, like, super relevant to me, at least.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
Okay, it's, I think it goes like this. Contentment is natural wealth. Luxury is artificial poverty.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. And I think it's especially relevant today. You know, like we're constantly being told that we need to buy more stuff to be happy.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But Socrates, he's saying the exact opposite.
Right.
Like he's saying that true wealth, it comes from within.
Yeah.
You know, from being content with what you have.
It's about inner peace.
Yeah. And that, like, trying to find happiness
Yeah.
through material possessions.
Right.
Buying a fancy car or a big house.
Yeah.
Well, he's saying that's, like, a recipe for unhappiness.
I mean, think about it. How many people do you know who have all the stuff?
Yeah.
All the things.
Yeah.
But they're still miserable.
It's like they're always chasing the next thing, the next purchase.
Right. And they never actually stop to appreciate what they have.
And, you know, to me, it's like he's asking us to think about, like, what are you really chasing?
Yeah, good question.
Like, what do you need?
Yeah.
Versus what do you think you need? You know? Because, like, society tells you to want it.
Oh, that's a really good distinction. Because I think a lot of times we get caught up in what we think we should want.
Exactly. Not what we actually want.
Right. And I think that's harder than ever today. Like with social media and advertising, you know?
Oh, yeah. It's like everyone's always trying to sell us something.
Yeah. And it makes it so hard to just, like, be content with what we have, to be happy in the moment.
Right. It's like we've been, like, trained to always be wanting more.
Yeah. And I think that's the opposite of what Socrates was talking about.
Totally. Okay, before we wrap this up, there's one more quote I think we got to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, I'm pretty sure everyone has heard this one at some point in their life.
Okay.
Do not do to others what angers you if done to you by others.
Oh, that's the golden rule.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the ultimate guide to how to treat other people.
Yeah, and it's not just a, Western philosophy thing. Like, this idea shows up in pretty much every culture, every religion.
Yeah, it's super universal.
Yeah.
But I think on the surface, it seems really simple, right? Like, okay, don't be mean to people. But when you really think about it, I feel like it actually requires a lot of, like, empathy.
Oh, definitely.
And self-awareness.
Yeah.
Like, to really do that, to really live by that rule, you have to be able to understand other people's perspectives.
Yeah, yeah. You have to be able to put yourself in their shoes.
Right. And to, like, treat them with the same kindness that you would want for yourself.
Exactly.
And that's not easy.
No, it's definitely not easy.
But I think it's, like, the most important thing.
Yeah, I agree. It's something we should all strive for.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's a good place to wrap things up. I mean, obviously, we've just, like, scratched the surface here.
Oh, yeah. There's so much more we could talk about.
Yeah. But hopefully this little deep dive has got you thinking, about Socrates.
Yeah.
About his ideas.
And one more thing to think about. Remember, Socrates, he never actually wrote anything down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything we know about him comes from his students, from what they wrote.
Wow. Okay, so that's interesting.
Yeah. So, maybe as you're thinking about these quotes, these ideas, just, ask yourself,
Right.
how do the words of others shape our understanding of, a person, the historical figure, and how does that influence how we see the world?
Okay. Now that is something to think about.
Yeah. It's all about perspective, isn't it?
Right. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It was fun. Thanks for having me.
All right, until next time. So long.
See ya.